Before I begin, a couple things. First of all, for this video, I'm reverting back to my old microphone for old time's sake. If you remember my first ever gaming videos that I did use this mic, I switched it to other mics, but this one has the best quality. The problem is it's stationary and also a little bit old, but still. I thought this had the best quality, and plus, it'll be nostalgic for those who originally saw those videos. And yeah, that was my first thing. The second thing, why have I have been gone for so long? This is a bit of a doozy. So, hopefully you've seen my previous video, and if you have, you know I've been going through some shit. TLDR, major medicine changes, at a point in my life where it's been a year since I graduated high school, and I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing in life, and just a lot of other things. So I've not been going through a good time. To be fair, to let you know, I'm not as bad as I was the couple weeks I was in between my last video and the video before. So that break, I was nowhere near as horrible, in a horrible mood as I was. Trust me, I haven't had any suicidal thoughts for the last month or two, so it's not as bad as it was then, so don't worry about that. But still, even then, it's just been hard. I've had such a lack of motivation to do stuff. I was fighting tooth and nail to do this, and the worst part is, this has been a video I've wanted to make for a long while, right? Ever since I had the idea of making a YouTube channel. Okay, not as much, because I've had the idea of making a YouTube channel since I was 9 or 10, over a decade ago, but still. Ever since I first bought this game and I first went against the common consensus and formed my own actual opinions, was when I wanted to make a video like this. And now I had the time, and the problem was just getting me to do it, but I've had such a lack of motivation for so many things. I would constantly spend my time spacing out, and it was hard for me to concentrate on things. It was hard for me to do anything because I'm just not going through a good time. Hopefully things will improve. But yeah, in case you haven't noticed, I say it before, but this is a video I've really wanted to make for a while. And hopefully my goal with this video is that this can change people's minds. People can stop making those shitty X7 is still videos. But yeah. Alright, enough blabbering. You didn't come to watch this video for a sappy story of why I was gone for so long. You came to hear it, so let's go. This is a video that's proving that X7 is better than X1. Well, okay, maybe it won't, but this is a idea that I definitely want to go back to, and since it's probably going to be shit quality, but hopefully you guys agree with my opinions, and if you do, you know the drill. But yeah, let's get to it. There is this game that means so much to me. This game that I got 4 years ago, it was a game that at the time I was kind of iffy about, mostly because of the fact that I finished another game before that. But over the 4 years that I've owned this game, I've continued to play it, continued to love it, and here I am today. That game, of course, is Mega Man X7. The third, yeah, you know. It's the second X game I ever beat. The first one was X6, because I heard so many bad things about these two games that I was like, oh my god, I should probably play them now. If X1 sucked so much, because when I first got the collection, because this was during the 2020 pandemic in June, when I got it, the first thing I did was try out X1. It was awful. Then tried X6, and oh my god, that was so much fun. Then I played X7. It was a little less fun, but I continued to play it over the years, and I continued to grow it. You already heard this. But the problem is the X1 fans, you know, the fans of that game that I told you was awful, that I first played, they're spreading propaganda. They're spreading lies about this game. They say that this game is bad, and the only reason why is because of the fact that they're jealous they never grew up with this game. Well, guess what? I never grew up with this game. This game came out like a year before I was born. So why are you jealous about it when the other people that enjoy it probably didn't grow up with it? So yeah, thanks to those jealous X1 fans, now X7 has a bad reputation that it doesn't deserve. Because X7 is much better than X1. In fact, it might even be the best Mega Man game, but we'll get to that when we do. So, why do I think X7 is better than X1? Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, the most obvious reason is it's in 3D. Like, you can't beat 3D. Growing up as a 2010s kid taught me that 3D games are inherently better than 2D games. Not to say that a 2D game can't be good. It definitely can. It just has to put more work than a 3D game. But even still, there's some other good things. First of all, the graphics are pretty good in X7. Well, I don't think they held up as well as, say, Super Mario Sunshine. For the time, X7 has some pretty good graphics, especially since it continued to stay shell-shaded. Meanwhile, X1's graphics suck. Like, even for the time, it didn't look good. Like, to be fair, I don't really like shit-bit games. I mean, ironically enough, when I was younger, I liked older-looking games until I actually played them. And I was like, oh wow, these are not as good as the modern games. But, yeah, so I continued to try that out, and graphics were awful. But graphics are not everything. The music, I will admit X7's music is not as good as the previous 4X games, but still slightly better than X1. That's like the only thing that X7 and X1 are on the similar level to is the soundtrack. But the gameplay, that is so much better. So, I already talked about the fact that it's in 3D, but one of the best things about X7 is the ability to auto-fire and auto-target, which, I mean, granted, the previous two X games before this had auto-fire and auto-charge. However, this one, it works differently because of the fact that it, like, targets the enemies itself, which I know is something really stupid. But I've played Legends. I've played, well, I haven't finished Legends 1, and I've finished The Misadventures of Trombone. I still haven't got to Legends 2. But the auto-fire in that game is not as good as it is in X7. Plus, it uses tank controls, which is just... So, yeah, there's that. And another thing that I think goes underrated is the weapons. Weapons, I still do think X6 has the best weapons, but X7's weapons are so much better than X1's. Because, like, Explosion is great for when you want to, like, have a, like... It's in the name. It's in the name. Explosion is good for when you need an explosion at something. Splash Laser is probably the best weapon in the entire X series. Gaia Shield is underrated because, while I don't think it's the best shield ever, it is good for when you're doing no damage runs because you can just block things. And then Zero also has some pretty good skills. Like, obviously, there's the skill where he does the homing thing, the homing sniper thing, which is definitely good. I think an underrated one is Sorumbu or something like that, because that gives you, like, the ability to target. So, X7 does have good weapons. I could go on, but I'm kind of going through some stuff. I probably said it earlier in the video, why it took so long for me to make this, so sorry if my mind's crowded and this is not good. But the other thing that X7 does really good is the boss fights. X7's boss fights are some of the best I've ever fought, and I've played, like, a lot of good games out there, and it's some really good boss fights, let me tell you. Some of the best in the entire Mega Man franchise. Not all of them. Definitely the 3D ones are much better than the 2D ones, but even still, there are definitely some really good boss fights that are heavily underrated. What else? The level design can be hit or miss. Some of the levels are really good. Some of them, I won't say they're as bad as X1's. X1 is just a glorified walking sim at its best. At its worst, it's frustrating as hell. Like, it gives X6 a run for its money with how bad X1's level design is. And I hate Gate Lab 1 with a burning passion. It is in my top 5 least favorite levels of all time. And the fact that so many levels from X1 can almost come as close to that just shows you how terrible X1 is. And then there's a lot of other things that X1 does that's pretty awful. Like, first of all, it doesn't give you the ability to dash at the very beginning of the game. Say what you will about not having X at the very beginning of X7, but at the very least, not only is X7 playable without X, it's still fun. Like, it's fun for Axel, even though he is not as... Even though he could have been more fleshed out, because I think that's legitimately one of the very, very, very few things X8 has over X7, is that Axel's a better character. Axel still makes up for it just by having a better hover ability than X, and also grenade launcher is a pretty good weapon that kind of mimics the X Buster. And then Zero is underrated. While I think X6 has a better overall Zero, X7 managed to put Zero in a 3D space really good. And X1 obviously doesn't even have Zero and Axel, so there's that. Another thing that sucks about X1 is that its Mavericks are so boring. They're completely RNG based. They have no structure. They're just 1, 2, or 3 attacks, spew it constantly. With like all the other bosses from all the other X series, specifically the Mavericks, they have a structure. There's like a first phase, second phase, and like starting from X4 and especially in X5 and X8, there are 3-phase bosses, which are so fun because it forces you to adapt at the time of the boss. So you gotta put your mind into one strategy and then the other. And while they are random, a lot of them are random, not all of them. It still does make for fun battles. And hell, some boss fights even before X7 are pretty good. Like Web Spider, Morph Moth, and Axel the Red. They're definitely good bosses. But I still think X7 has the overall best bosses. But yeah, so X7's plot is much better than X1 because it actually has a plot. It doesn't just plop you right in the middle of the game. Like, X2 tried a bit better. It actually had an explanation at the beginning of what was going on, and there was that little cutscene. X3 definitely did it better, especially with the anime cutscenes in the non-bootleg port. That joke actually works because there is an actual bootleg of X3. So I think the plot works much better. I don't think the plot is as good as the previous 2, 3-ish games, but it makes up for that in character development. Like, X7 is very character heavy. Like, you can see the character interactions, and it's interesting. There's more, but I told you I'm kind of going in the mood. My main goal of this video is just to spread this word around. I'm so tired of this game and its bullshit reputation that it doesn't deserve. The best part is, the people who say that seem like the most pathetic people in the world. Some people say this game looks stupid. Some people are saying, oh, I miss X1. I miss it. And then some other shit. They're just sucking X1's non-existent dick. It's just bullshit. I keep saying it, but it's true. It's bullshit. X7 is such a better game than X1, and I could go on and on about it too. Like, leave me in the comments what you think that I should go on more about, because this is a video topic I want to revisit in the future, but right now, I barely have any skill with YouTube, and I've been going through so much that it's just hard for me to do this video. So, once again, my ultimate goal with this video is just to spread the word around. Hopefully more people can agree with me, and maybe with me making this video, it can inspire others to revolt against the evil X1 fans, and to prove once and for all that X7 is better than X1 in almost every inconceivable way. But that's it for today. I would love to go on, but if I had explained earlier in the video, I've been going through some shit. Hopefully you see my previous video. Until then, goodbye. So, yeah. Sorry if this video's shit, but I just really want to get this out. I've been wanting to make this video for years.